The Texas A&M pass rush should be able to feast against the Alabama offensive line.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today, we're going to be talking about the biggest matchups for the game against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And there is one that stands out big time, how the Aggies can take advantage of something that Alabama hasn't been good at so far this year. Listen to this statistic. Texas A&M, third nationally in sacks, second nationally in tackles for loss. Alabama, 127th nationally in sacks allowed, 122nd nationally in tackles for loss allowed. The Texas A&M defensive line, front seven, corners, safeties, everybody needs to and should be able to get pressure on Saturday. Now, you could make the argument of, well, Alabama wants to run the football. They want to run the football, but they're still going to throw the football. And Milroe is a crazy athlete. He's fast. He can run the ball, but I am not sold on on the passing from him. I'm not sold on it. If you get pressure on him, if you get in his face and you cause sacks, you knock him down, you bump into him a few times, you keep getting in the backfield, you live in there, he will make a mistake. He will make a mistake, and you have to take advantage of it. You have to pick off a pass. You have to hit him and him put the ball on the ground. But this is the advantage that the Aggies need to take advantage of. They need to make sure that they are getting in the backfield of Alabama all game long. These numbers right here say they're going to be able to do that. These numbers say they should be able to get in the backfield. So that means if they are getting pressure, which I expect Coach Durkin to draw it up. Now, you're going to have to do some different things just based off the way they're going to want to play the game. But then you look at that. Arkansas wanted to run the football. Arkansas wanted to run the football with KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders. And the Aggies were able to stop that, plus get a whole bunch of sacks when Jefferson sat back to pass. So to me, I think that there's a way that you can have the best both worlds. You can get pressure and you can stop their rushing attack. So that is the biggest matchup for me. This is the one place where you look at the numbers, the statistics for the whole season, and the Aggies have a genuine advantage here. And it's a good place to have an advantage because the pass rush has looked dominant these last couple of weeks. So if they're able to get in the backfield, he'll make a mistake. That is what I'm relying on. I want to see Jalen Milroe make a mistake because the Texas A&M front seven, whoever's getting after him, is in his face and he forces up a bad throw and somebody down in the defensive backfield makes a play. That is where the Aggies have this big advantage. Looking at this, take advantage of it. Seriously, if you have an advantage, take advantage of your advantage. I mean, seriously. So take the fact that your defense can get pressure on this offensive line and get in the backfield, and make sure you're drawing up a game plan. Coach Durkin, like I said, I have been so impressed with what he's done these last few weeks, and I plan to be again this week. So I expect a good game plan from Coach Durkin. I expect him to have people in the backfield all game long. And if you do that, I think it's going to be hard for this Alabama offense to score a ton of points, especially with Kyle Field rocking. This is not going to be an easy ball game for the Aggies to score. They're not. I mean, I'm sorry for the Crimson Tide to score. I don't think Alabama is going to be able to score whenever they want. I think the Aggies defense is going to have a good day. The question is going to be how many points can the offense put up. So that is my number one matchup: is the Texas A&M defense versus the getting pressure on the Alabama offensive line. They should be able to do it, and if they're able to feast all day, I think that you're going to see another high sack number for the Aggies on Saturday. The second biggest matchup I have here is the offensive line of Texas A&M versus the pass rush of Alabama, but specifically SEC sack leader Dallas Turner, who has 6 sacks. Dallas Turner is a really good player. He's going to be the next crazy good elite pass rusher at the NFL level. High draft pick. This player. He's a really good pass rusher. He can get after the quarterback all day long. So what you need to do is plan around that. Well, what would be great is if you could the offensive line could just shut him down. Now listen, one thing I always say about offensive line play, defensive line play, you're not going to get your behind whooped on every play. There's going to be some reps. There's going to be reps where there's going to be reps where let's say he goes after Zune, right? Trey Zune. Let's say Turner's going after Trey Zune. There's going to be reps where Dallas Turner wins. There's going to be reps where Zune wins. This is how, or there's going to be reps where Basantis wins. Like, this is going to be how this works out. There's reps you win, reps you lose. What's important is the reps you lose. Does he get to your quarterback? Does he create havoc? Or is Max Johnson able to get rid of the football? That is where this gets interesting. That is where it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep him out of the backfield. And I mean, Dallas Turner is going to create some havoc. It's one of those things like when I say you need to shut him down, you need to not let him have 3 sacks. That's my point. I mean, he's going to be in the backfield. He's going to create some havoc. He's one of the best players in college football. That's what's going to happen. But you have to limit the damage he's going to create. You have to limit the havoc he's going to create. Do your best to keep him out of the backfield. If you could keep him out of the backfield every single play, that would be great. That would be awesome. Is that possible? Sure. But like I say, I think that the key here is just don't let it be one of those games where you look up and you go, man, we can't keep this guy out of the backfield. So the offensive line needs to protect Max Johnson. We can't have turnovers in this game. We'll talk about that in segment 3. There's some numbers regarding turnovers that are awful frustrating, and we're going to discuss that in segment 3. But that's the way I look at this is you have to do a good job of keeping him out of the backfield. If you can keep Dallas Turner out of the backfield, I think that the Aggies will be able to move the ball all game long, pass, run. I do. I think they'll be able to move the football in Alabama. The question is going to be what will become an issue is if Dallas Turner's living in your backfield, Max Johnson is pressured on every play. He has to roll out. He's getting hit. That's when you make mistakes. That's how you lose football games to a really, really good, really talented. That's the better word than good because Alabama, it's still interesting to me what they are. They're a good football team. Don't want to say like that, like they're not good, but I don't think they're not Alabama of normal. That's my point. That's what I was trying to get at. They're not Alabama of normal. So you got to go in confidence. You can win this football game, but you can't let their pass rushers be in the backfield. You can't let that turn into turnovers for Max Johnson. You have to keep the pocket clean, keep people out of Max Johnson's face, and let him pick this defense apart from a clean pocket. The next stat, and this is an interesting one, third down efficiency. Both of these teams have been pretty good on third down. Bama, they convert on 46% of their third downs. A&M converts on 50% of their third downs. That is a pretty good number. I'm cool with that. I'm happy with that. So that means that a lot of what's going to win this game, which team can get the other team off the field on third down. If you're Texas A&M and it's 3rd and 7 and Milroe has to drop back and pass, can you not let him complete it? If it's 3rd and 2 and they're going to run it, can you get strong and stop a big push from the Alabama offensive line? That is going to be a key here. Can you get them off the field on third down? And can the Aggies stay on the field on third down? If those two things happen at a high rate, if we see the Aggies staying on the field, converting third downs all day long, and Bama, you're doing a good job getting them off the field on third down, this is a game, once again, this is a game I think the Aggies can win. I do. But that's another battle. We talk about all the battles you have to win. Can you win the sack battle, the turnover battle? Can you win? I think the third down conversion battle is a big one too. And I think you need to see the Aggies win that if they want to win this football game. It's going to be, it will be interesting to see who's converting on third downs. I mean, all of these matchups are going to be, and this is what's fun about football in general, but talking about just the little intangibles, all these things, all these matchups we're going to talk about are games within the game, as they say. And, you have to win. There's battles to the war. And if you want to win the war, you have to win these little battles. And that's what I'm saying. So I was curious to know. I looked up Alabama's third down conversion percentage, and when I saw it was 46, I was like, okay, let's go see what Texas A&M's is. And I looked up Texas A&M's, like, okay, we're sitting at 50. That's not a bad number. So both these teams have good third down conversion percentages. That's something that both teams need to know and make sure, hey, we got to get our opponent off the field on third down. So who wins that battle, I think will be a massive deciding factor to who wins this football game. So let's hope it is the Aggies. Max Johnson being able to read this talented Alabama secondary and not make mistakes is another important matchup in this game if Texas A&M wants to beat the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday. We'll talk about that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Bird Dogs. It is that time of the day. It's my favorite time of the day where I get to tell all y'all about Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs, most comfortable pair of clothing I own. I'm wearing my Bird Dogs hat right now. They sent me this hat. I love this hat. I wear it all the time. And I don't generally like white hats because I tend to get them dirty, but I like this hat a lot. So their clothing's comfortable. It's versatile. You can wear it to do anything you want to do. Like when I say the things that I say, I wear my Bird Dog. Generally, like I fish in them. I kayak fish in them. I swim in them. I wore them on a date here and there. I mean, there is so much you can do with Bird Dog shorts. You can do anything you would do in shorts, you can do in Bird Dog shorts. They have long pants too. Anything you can do in long pants, you can do in your Bird Dogs. Most versatile, comfortable shorts I have ever in my life worn, owned. I so highly recommend everybody going and checking out the website and picking yourself up a pair. They are that comfortable, I promise. Go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege or enter promo code lockedoncollege at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. So, Max Johnson versus the Alabama secondary is going to be an interesting one. And we'll talk more specifically about some of these other secondary players and some of the receivers and that matchup, how that important that is in a couple matchups. But Max Johnson versus the secondary, he's done a good job. The interception, I've watched that play time and time again. That's to me, there's a difference in interceptions. There's different levels to interceptions. There's miscommunication. That's what that looked like to me. It looked like the receivers didn't block. It was obviously supposed to be like a wide receiver screen where you swing it out and the receivers block and you try and get your receiver upfield. Miscommunication there. Stuff's going to happen. So that's one level of interception is the miscommunication. The next level is just a bad throw. And then the next level is a bad decision. We see some throws where you'll see it, like they'll show the angle of it and you'll see, oh, the receiver was running open. It was a good throw. It was going to hit him right in stride, but he didn't see the safety and he picked it off. That is a bad decision. Bad throws are when, hey, I'm throwing into this receiver and I just airmailed it and they got picked off by the safety. So you don't want to make those are the different levels of interception. So that interception, I don't put that truthfully on Max Johnson. I don't. If y'all saw that differently than me, let me know. But I don't really put that one on Max Johnson. The ball looked like it was where it needed to be. That was because people weren't blocking. But you don't want to make what we don't want to see on Saturday. Well, we don't want to see interceptions, period. But we don't want Max Johnson making bad throws and bad decisions. We want him reading the secondary well, reading where players are, anticipating where they're going to be. That's what's so hard about playing quarterback is anticipating, as your receivers run routes, is this safety going to crash? Is this corner going to jump the route? You have to be able to read that. And if you don't read that, that is when you're going to turn the football over. So you have to be smart. You have to be safe with the football. And so I think Max Johnson taking care of the football, being smart, not turning it over, reading the secondary well is going to be a big matchup in this ball game. He's done a good job so far. His completion percentage is not bad. It's not Connor Wigman's, but it's 62. I think it's 62 point something. I think it was 62.7, but I know it's 62. But he needs to, keep doing what he's doing. Manage the game well. Use your legs when there's nothing there. Roll out. Take care of the football when you're running it. That was a concern last week. Take care of the football when you're running it. Don't turn the ball over based on bad throws and bad decisions. Now, once again, we don't want to see the miscommunication turnovers either, but I'm saying those are the two that are really on the quarterback. So none of that. Take care of the football. Be smart with it. Read the secondary well. Find open receivers. Make sure you're not turning the ball over, because I do think that's how you're going to lose this game, is you turn the football over a lot. The next biggest matchup in this ball game, and this is one I wouldn't expect to talk about. Randy Bond, make your kicks. Okay, now, we will preface this. Does anyone here, you can comment, watch College Game Day, because Pat McAfee's doing this new thing, which is hilarious, by the way, where he puts $30,000 on the line and he says, here, you go kick a 33-yard field goal. If you make it, I'll give you all this money. Because, we all badmouth kickers, and we all get mad about kickers. And, but that's the joke of it, is he's saying he'll pull someone out of the crowd to kick a 33-yard field goal, and they'll shank it to the left like me with a driver. And it's kind of funny. But so I'm talking about, Randy missing field goals affects Texas A&M's football team. It affects, they were able to get the win last week, but they missed field goals, a couple missed field goals, keep points off the board. That can't happen against Alabama. You have to, when you have the opportunity to score points, you have to score points. That is what we need to see from Randy Bond. Win the kicking battle. Seriously, like it sounds, but if you have 3 field goal opportunities and they have 3 field goal opportunities, you make all 3, and let's hope they miss one. That is, it is so, making field goals is so crucial. It really is. Leaving those points on the board. It didn't end up biting the Aggies in the behind on this past Saturday, but it could have. And that's what we're going to talk about in segment 3. So, Randy, make your kicks on Saturday. I believe in Randy. I trust in Randy. I'm never going to lose confidence in Randy. He's a good kicker. He needs to make his kicks. So, hopefully we see that on Saturday. Make his kicks. Randy, don't miss a single kick. Boom, and let's win this football game. Evan Stewart versus Kool-Aid McKinstry is the next matchup. / just the wide receivers versus the entire Alabama secondary. Alabama does have a talented secondary. I think it's right up there with Auburn's secondary. I think that Alabama's, that's one of those, I think you could argue they're really similar. Some would say Bama's is better. Some would say Auburn's is better. So my point is, you've played a good secondary. Now, Auburn's secondary was banged up. They lost some players that were in and out of the game, but you've played a talented secondary and done well. Now you're going to play another talented secondary with Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's, I assume he's going to be potentially a first-round pick. He's argued the best corner in college football. So Evan Stewart and Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be an interesting one. I assume they'll be matched up together most of the game. I assume that, go out on a limb. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup works out. How can you win that matchup? How can you win that battle? These wide receivers need to get open because they need to create easy throwing lanes, easy throwing opportunities for Max Johnson. If Max Johnson, and that's what we talked about, Max Johnson versus the secondary. The receivers can make it easier on him by getting open and making these throws easy. If the receivers are open all day, Max Johnson can make the throws. If he just gives them a sliver of space, Max Johnson is an accurate quarterback. So if the receivers can get open, he'll make the right decisions. He'll hit them in stride. He'll throw a pretty deep ball. So the receivers matching up well against the secondary, Kool-Aid and all these players, that is going to be one of the other big matchups in this game. You have to get open against this talented Alabama secondary. If you're able to get open, I think the Aggies win this game. If you're struggling to get open all game, I think that the Aggies could drop this one. So the receivers need to run open all game long. The last matchup here is the defense as a whole versus Jalen Milroe's legs. They have a talented running game. Jason McClellan's a good running back. Jalen Milroe can use his legs. He's a quarterback who is quick and can get out of the pocket and run. He had a big, long touchdown run last week. And so I look at this, and what I immediately say is you have to make sure to contain him. You did a great job of it last week with KJ Jefferson, but this is a different – KJ Jefferson is fast. He is not slow, but he is a different type of running quarterback than Jalen Milroe. Milroe is more of a quick guy. KJ Jefferson is more of a run through a fellow's face, as Marshawn Lynch said. And so that's the difference here. You have to make sure that you are not letting him run around all game long. If he runs around all game long, he's going to pick up third downs. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to break some runs. You have to contain him. If you contain him and force him to throw the football or keep him in the pocket, I don't believe he's going to beat you with his arm. I believe he's going to beat you with his legs. Make him beat you with his arm. And then if it happens, tip your cap. That's the way I look at this game. So that is the last big matchup in this ball game. We are going to talk about missed opportunities, turnover ratio, and some things that got to get cleaned up before this big upcoming game with the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll talk about that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So, looking at some of these numbers is definitely not my favorite thing. But what we're going to talk about are three things that, and we talked about Randy a little bit, but that you have to clean up, because against the Ole Misses and LSUs and Bamas and Tennessees of the world, who are better football teams than Arkansas and Auburn, you can't get away with these things. But the Aggies are -4 on the turnover ratio on the season. That I was not expecting that. I was hoping this year was the year where Texas A&M would create a lot of turnovers. And part of that, I will tell you, part of that I think is the fact that the Aggies really haven't created a lot of turnovers. So I look at this, so that hurts the offense. I mean, the offense has turned over more than I would like, but the defense hasn't really created a ton of turnovers on the flip side of that to kind of even it out. So, I look at that and I go, you got to try and swing that turnover ratio back to you. And the way you do that, you pick off Milroe twice on Saturday and don't turn the ball over. Then we're a little bit closer. We want to get that back into the positive side of things. Alabama's turnover ratio is a positive number. We need to make Texas A&M's turnover ratio a positive number. So get a couple turnovers in this game and you don't turn the football over yourself. That I think is a big deal. Then missed field goals. Once again, I know we talked about with Randy, it's a matchup. He needs to make his kicks, but these are things, leaving points on the board is problematic. The way I look at it, you look back, and this is something me and my pap all do this all the time. We talk about like the missed opportunities, points left on the board, and how much it can bite you in a football game. But if you look at some numbers on this, and you go, okay, last week against Arkansas, a couple missed field goals, there's 6 points. The interception that, first of all, there's a swing because it turned into a touchdown on a drive where you could have moved the football. So let's say, do that. Let's say that you don't turn that football over, so you take 7 points off the board for them, and you drive down and kick a field goal, right? And these are all hypotheticals. It's a hypothetical situation, but the point is opportunities you leave. So you take away 7 points for them, add 3 points for you. That's a 10-point swing. Then you have the fumble. Let's say you take that. So let's say Randy makes both of his kicks. That's 6 points there. You don't, the pick six doesn't happen. You go down and score a field goal. That's a 10-point swing there. And then on the drive where Max Johnson fumbles, you go and you score a touchdown, right? I mean, none of those things are out of their impossibility. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 potential points that should have swung in Texas A&M's favor. Once again, it's hypothetical. You could argue that they should have kicked a field goal here or a touchdown here. The point is, there was a lot of missed opportunities left on the field in this game. There were a lot of points left on the board, a lot of different things in this game mistakes that led to Arkansas points or led to the lack of Texas A&M points in that game. and you still dominated Arkansas. That is not going to be the case in every game. That is not going to be the case against Alabama and Ole Miss and Tennessee and these teams that I'm talking about in LSU. It's not going to be the case against those teams. You can't make these mistakes because they will take advantage of it. That is my whole point. So the turnover ratio, missed field goals, and then penalties too is the last thing I have written down here. Those things have got to have got to stop. They can't happen this much. You have got to get rid. These different things have to stop. You have to stop shooting yourself in the foot. If you stop shooting yourself in the foot, I think the Aggies are going to make a real run at this thing. I do, and I talked about that on yesterday's show. I led with that. So stop shooting yourself in the foot, and I really do think there is a special season ahead for the Aggies. I think they're going to win on Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. I think they're going to win this football game. I just have a real good feeling about it. We'll talk more about it. We have a lot of fun still coming up this week right here on Locked On Aggies, but that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. If you want to help the show, subscribe to the YouTube. That helps a lot. If you go to the podcast platforms and leave a review, all that stuff helps the numbers, helps me be able to do this and do this better every single day. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody listening every single day. Have a great rest of your day today, and we will see you tomorrow.